Every game has a limited life cycle and limited shelf life, and usually every game's life cycle looks completely the same. Hype and marketing in the beginning, followed by large amount of players, followed by massive exodus and losing the player base, which is in turn followed by spikes caused by sales or release of a new content. But as we saw with the previous games in this video series, some games completely disregard this life cycle. They are just completely different beasts, not just refuse to die, they thrive with an age, getting more and more and more players. And this game is different even amongst those games. This game is just made completely different, and this game is alive and thriving for completely different reasons. And this is probably the game that you have in your library, but most likely you never played. And it is none other than Euro Truck Simulator 2. At first glance, nothing about this game should seem like that this is an ultimate success. Because in 2 words, this game is just a truck simulator happening on a continent of Europe. You are a truck driver or truck company owner, and your goal is literally just to deliver goods from A point to B point. That's it. And nothing in what I said should scream like this game should have more than a few hundred players. Not even talking about average of 20 to 40,000 daily players. But that's where the first pillar of this game's success lies, and it is in its simplicity. This game has practically an ageless appeal, and unlike all the other trends, this game just ages like fine wine. Its simplicity, driving, delivering, and growing your business just transcends everything into gaming understanding. You don't need a lot to get into the game, even though game has quite a few things in its mastery. You just sit down, get your order, and just drive. And this simplicity allows everyone, no matter if you are 10 years old or 80 years old, to get into the game as quickly as possible and start enjoying the heck out of it. This is the thing that not a lot of successful gamers can successfully pull off. But don't get me wrong, simplicity doesn't mean that this game has no substance in it. And this is where the game's realism actually shows itself. You see, this game's driving is very weighty and nuanced. The physics actually simulate the heft of the loaded truck, making every turn, acceleration, and brake satisfyingly realistic. It's not just a game, it is a driving simulator that respects the laws of physics. And for people who like hardcore sims, this is just a heaven to play in, while the casual players will actually appreciate the balance between realism and fun, because this game captures a perfect blend of it. But even with those two things perfectly in sync, it's still not enough to keep this game playing for 11 years now. And this next reason will be probably the reason number 2 why this game is so successful. We're gonna talk about reason number 1 near the end of the video. And this reason is therapeutic gameplay. At first glance, of course, it seems like very mundane simulator where you just drive cargo across the Europe. But that's where the magic actually lies. This repetitive rhythm of the road, the hum of the engine, and the changing landscape creates a very soothing and relaxing experience. Everyone who plays it slips into meditative state, just losing the track of time while you navigate these winding roads. And this is just a perfect escape from the reality. This game feels relaxing because it is relaxing. You have your goal in mind, you have your destination point in mind, and despite the game having quite a bit of events happening on the road, it still does not take you away from the relaxing state. You just simply enjoy the road, listen to the music, and listen to everything that is happening around you while you lose all the track of time. And looking at Europe's beauty is simply therapeutic. And speaking of beauty of Europe, the next reason why this game is successful is probably in its DLCs, even though many do not like how the game does it. You see, despite thinking that this game should have entire Europe in the map, it actually does not. It does a large part of it, but not in its entirety. Because yeah, it's difficult to recreate entire continent that fast. So the developers chose to just deliver more countries through the DLC. Like you can add a Spain, or you can add a Balkan state, or looking at Scandinavia. And this way you just support continued games development. And don't get me wrong, game is not just being updated through DLCs. Game is just being updated constantly. Even if you'll just take the graphical fidelity of the game, comparing its 2012 release to today, you will see that game has taken quite a long road. However, if you don't like these DLC politics, and if you don't like how game looks right now, you can always make it look better through mods. Mod support is probably one of the most important part in every game's lifecycle, and this game is not different. You see that this game has a very extensive mod support, which allows you to make game not just prettier, but also more complex and more realistic if you want to do so. And you are not even limited with that, because with this game you can actually expand the territory of the game to the completely insane levels, adding not just entire Europe, but also adding the continent of Africa and Asia, transforming this into an ultimate driving experience spanning multiple continents. And yes, mods allow you to do that. And all this thanks to, of course, next gen is to its community. Game has very dedicated and beautiful community who adds more and more and more into the game. And this is one of the few games which is almost universally loved all over the world. Almost every country has its dedicated player base for this game, and people just create more and more and more content and support this game over and over and over again. But there is one thing that is probably the biggest contributor of this game's success, because no matter how much people are playing this game over and over and over again, and yes, people are actually playing tens of thousands of hours in this game, if you don't have a constant influx of new players, it won't matter that much in the long run. And this game has a constant influx of new players, and it is done through its pricing politics. You see, this game is very often on a sale, probably more often than any other game on Steam, and it is also dirt cheap to buy, excluding DLCs, of course. You can get this game for less than $5 almost anywhere in the world, and in many countries you can get even far cheaper than that, making it one of the most affordable games on PC. And for that reason, almost everyone owns this game, because it's just so cheap. It is no-brainer to buy it during the sales. And because of that, this game is literally owned by tens of millions of players all over the world. And when you have this constant low prices and also inclusion in a bunch of different bundles, this game has more and more and more players flocking into the game all the time. And for that reason, you don't see a singular picks in its player base, you see a constant picks. This is so much so that this game had almost 70,000 concurrent players just a few weeks ago, more than 11 years after its initial release. If that doesn't say anything about the game's success, I don't know what does. So this game is one of few games where game's pricing policy and where its simplicity and where its relaxing gameplay contributes to its long-term success. And this game is not showing any sign of dying out, and I highly doubt that it will die anytime soon. Oh, and by the way, if you actually never played this game and want to get it yourself, or just want a simple review and don't want to waste time looking for it, I actually have the review for this game and you can watch it right here, right now. And I guess I'm gonna see you there. Take care.